Hello, guys. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. I'm Kia, and I'm here today with my husband, my darling, and my lovely husband, Bibonke.
Hi.
So, we started a series on choices, and today we help you to see the limitations man has in making the right choice. And this limitation is not only in the choice of a life partner, but it's also in making choices in general. And we also help you to see that God plays a central role in making the right choices in whatever aspect. Though on this platform we focus on relationships and family. So looking back at my choices, when I look at those I've had to choose before, when I look at some crazy decisions I made so far as this area is concerned, I'm really like, yes, indeed, we are limited as human beings. So, babe, can you tell us about some wrong choices you've gotten to make, like of yourself?
I think personally I've made a lot of wrong choices, and it spans from choices maybe in basic decisions around to major ones. I remember when I was in my first year in university, we started a business. I had to do a documentation business with a friend, and it did not go well. And when I now look back at my decision in that business, true, I had the mindset of maybe doing something that I'm going to, after that, I'll use the proceeds to use it maybe for projects, help people, God's work. But I did not really take time when I was making that choice to really discern if God approved of it or not. I just went ahead. It was a good business. I'm sure I'm going to get some money. Bam! I launched into the business. Boy, it was catastrophic.
You're
So,
talking about money. Help us know the price. Tell us
so,
how much it was.
so I think my friend and I we invested roughly about 1.5 million in
Hey.
that business. So it was a heartbreak. And then, so from that experience, my goal has always been to try as much as possible to be able to make the right choices in whatever I'm doing. It spans across relationship to my personal and day-to-day life, my engagement, to make sure I'm doing the right thing. And when it comes to the area of relationship, I think it's key because we humans cannot really see or discern. Like I remember one of the girlfriends I dated. My judgment were basic physical. I look at her, she looked beautiful, good shape, and that was my conclusion. And when we started dating, I realized that there were certain things that were off. Way off. Her character, her way of thinking didn't really match what I expected because I had judged her based on her physical appearance.
Was it the one you said you could be with several of your friends
Yeah,
in a
that's
group,
that,
and then when she comes, she'll greet only you
yes,
and
that's the
ignore
person.
the other people?
Yes, that's the person.
Okay.
So it was a funny thing for me, and when I look back, I realized that many of us do the same thing based on the physical appearance, based on how people look, maybe based on their portfolio, maybe based on people's hype about them. So we go ahead and make such choices based on our physical appearance or physical judgments. And I also think that it's also based on how we are trained. We are trained in school to look at things with our eyes, think about it with our minds, and then make conclusions. But when it comes to human beings and key choices, if we use that system, it's not going to give us God's best, God's choice. When you look at First Samuel chapter 16, God told Samuel to go and choose a king for Israel after Saul disobeyed God. And Samuel, when he went to Jesse's house, and he had told Jesse before coming to bring out his sons, and he's about to choose a king amongst them. But now, the context about Samuel here is very specific because Samuel started hearing God when he was 8 years old, and he had grown to be an old prophet. In other words, Samuel has grown to be with the Lord. And in Bible studies, they call Samuel one of the major prophets. But when he went to Jesse's house, the interesting thing is that when he saw Jesse's first son, that's Eliab, when he looked at the way he was looking, his physical build, Samuel himself, an old prophet, concluded that this should be the king.
Imagine how Eliab looked.
And God then spoke to him that he has disapproved of Eliab as king. And he made a very important statement here that we should be cautious about. He said, man looks at the outward appearance, as the stature, the build, but him, God, looks at the heart. In other words, we as men, the best we can see is what we can, the best we can base our judgment on is what we see physically. And we all know that the more we are entering into the world, we are getting more technologically advanced, information age. A lot of people are deceptive. As you remember when we were still dating girls back in school, we had a classmate and he was good. He never had a physical build, but he was good in writing. So he would compose letters for us and we'll take the letter and then maybe transcribe it with our own writing and then give to the girl you're about to date. And the girl will read somebody else's mindset about her, somebody else's ideology. And then and she's blushing for you.
Mercy.
That kind of like, meanwhile, it's not our idea, it's not our thought even. And he will include things that to us, even when reading it, you know that is not even what you're thinking about. But the girl, on the other hand, when she's reading the note about the note we have given her, she knows it from us, and she's believing that truly what we have written, we mean it. But it was not true, and it's the same. And it's the same.
Deceiving the girls.
Yes, it's the same with our day-to-day living. How many guys outside say things like maybe this love at first sight. Some people, when they saw you, they felt nothing. They could have felt something, but most of it is there is some element of deceit, and it's very difficult as a human, or practically impossible as a human, to discern another person's heart. And that's why God comes into play, and that's why you and I need God. I mean, that's why you and I should put God at the central of our decision making. So I really think that for us to be able to make choices, especially key choices like a life partner, we need God. We really cannot do without God. So I want you, so what are the examples you think you had in this area?
Personally, I was in a relationship with one person before I ever got to meet my husband. And the irony of this thing is my husband has always been around. He had always been around when I was making this wrong decision. And I remember when I chose this guy, the first person I informed was my husband, because then we were friends. And he was one of the leaders of our class Bible club. So he always exalted me, was helping me in the faith and stuff. So I was like, okay, why not tell him that I'm now in a relationship? And since he always loved talking marriage, I knew that he always have these tips and nuggets to share with me. So years on in the relationship, like I think I spent 2 years in that wrong relationship. And before making that choice, I felt like I had made the right choice. I felt like
that feeling.
I felt like
my mind, by the way.
I don't know how to put it, but if there was anything more than sure, then that's how sure I thought I was. But getting into the relationship, while fostering my relationship with God, continuing in fellowship with the brethren, I always felt this constant unease about the relationship in which I was. And also we had this discordance, yes, in our beliefs. And it even got to a point where the guy started calling me churchwas. So those kind of things now it actually revealed who exactly he was to me.
Okay.
But if I had taken out time, like really tried to seek God's mind about the matter, and maybe I tried to even be truthful with the other people around me about who exactly he was, then I think that I would have been safe from making the wrong choice. But I concealed it, and I just let people know about it when I'd already made the wrong choice. And I remember, yes, I prayed about it and stuff, but I was young in the faith. And God, when I even look back, God had actually warned me against the relationship. But since I wanted to go for what my mind wanted, what my desires and my emotions wanted, I then thwarted this God's response, because there was a verse and there was a dream. God spoke to me very clearly about it, but I chose to interpret it the way I wanted to. So I think that was a wrong choice I made. And all through the 2 years I spent with this guy, my husband was around. He knew everything that was going on. And I just think it's God's grace and mercy that he
Yeah.
saved me from that
Really God's
relationship.
mercy.
And there was a time when it's like it suddenly just opened our eyes, and it's like my husband has been near me and I was not seeing. And all,
Ish.
God for opened his eyes to see. Obviously not mine, because he did the chasing. And here we are today. So I think that's like a major wrong choice I've made in my life.
Yeah, I think if you are to do a census about people and the wrong choices they've made, you are going to see that we have made a lot of choices that are not correct. Even in the biblical context, you see many people that follow God and made the wrong choice. For example, when you look at the choice that Lord made in Genesis chapter 13, I think, when Abraham and Lot, after God had blessed them, they started having the problem of space. And their headsmen, Lot's headsmen and that of Abraham started quarreling about space and about things. So Abraham thought it wise for them to separate because the land was vast around them. And he gave the option for Lot to make a choice. So Lot had to choose where he's to go to. So Lot turned towards the plain of the Jordan and saw the water. I mean, the green. I mean, everything
My
was
God.
looking so beautiful. And then after looking at all these things, he made a choice. And he was to go toward the Jordan. And then he went and pitched his tent towards Sodom and Gomorrah. And that's where he was staying. And we all know how Lot ended. He lost everything after the years he stayed there. Came out with pretty nothing. And in a haste, could not even greet his friend, take maybe just assume they had savings. He could not even take them. So there are choices that we will make. And most of us, if we are not in synchrony or in phase with God, will always make choices based on our minds and our looks, our interpretation of things. Because that's all we have. So what we are trying to encourage you and I here is that God is the only person that knows people's state of the heart. You and I don't have that access. Even if we read books about the person, take information about the person's from the person's friend, we really will not be able to know the person's heart. I'm sure all of us here can agree with me that there are certain things about you have told nobody.
That's true.
Yes. And imagine that you are about to make such a choice with a person that you really barely know nothing about. And basing yourself on the physical appearance or basing yourself on looks is what the first step that all of us will take. Because maybe you see the sister or the brother is kind, he's gentle, but that may just be the appearance or show off.
Superficial.
Yeah, superficial.
He or she chooses to show you what
Yes,
he wants you to see.
Yes.
So I want you to see that I am kind, and so I act kind.
Yes.
I want you to know that I am soft spoken, and so I form being soft spoken. There's something you even said about preconceived minds about something, about somebody. You remember one of the first conversations we ever had.
Can I remember?
When we just got to know each other, and there was a time you asked me the kind of person I would love to marry, and I said I rather have a criteria of somebody that I cannot marry. Remember, I said the person has to be at least, was it 5 years older than me?
Yes, I remember you had.
I also said the person is not supposed to be fair. I said the person should not be my classmate. And
I can remember that point.
There's one last point that I cannot even remember today, but very foolish preconceived ideas.
I think that these preconceived ideas can be a hindrance from you being able to discern properly. Because some of us, the films we watch, the series that we watch, and it has a way it plays on our mind. It has a way it affects us. Maybe when we are making choices. Because many of us, I remember particularly me, I don't know if most of the guys bear, we have in a mind that if you love a girl, the girl must be figure 8. That kind of an idea. It has a way it
Figure
prevents
8.
you already from being able to discern rightly. So I personally think that if you want to make the right choice, one of the things we must allow is allow God to help us discern. Because if we are not able to discern, we're going to make the wrong choices. I cannot tell you the number of people that I've seen end in relationship, business deal because of rumors or their physical judgment on the person or the business deal that is going to work, but they end up losing everything. And relationship-wise, many of us, as we age, because we also develop our minds, we learn how to close ourselves when people not seeing the negative part of us. But those are the areas that God is going to show you if you and I go to God and ask Him to truly guide us from the heart. And I believe that God is going to guide us. So if we need to make the right choice, then we must put God at the center. I remember there was this lady that I wanted to get married to, and when everything, at the end of the day, not get married to the girl, but what dawned on me was after I married my wife, a lot of things started happening to me. I realized that even if God had given me the chance to choose again, I would have likely made the wrong choice without God helping me. So I will encourage you, we need God. I mean, we need God to help you. And we need to really go to God with a sincere and a true heart. Not with the, because most of us, when we go to God, we go with a preconceived mind. Like, you have seen a brother, we have seen a sister, and you have seen a girl that you like. I mean, then you go to God now, bringing this girl and telling God this is the person. Not even wanting God to guide you, but asking God to approve of somebody you've chosen. So these methods can easily lead you and I to wrong choices, to hurt. I mean, because here we believe that successful marriages, successful relationships begin firstly by making the wrong choices. Because when you make the
making the right choices,
yeah, by
instead.
making the right choices.
Yes.
Thank you. Because when you make the wrong choices and the person is not in phase with you, doesn't have the same values with you, it's difficult to change the person. Because God cannot change a person if the person has not decided to change. It's a difficult task to do. So if you enjoy our content, we'd like you to share, subscribe, and also make a comment in the comment section telling us your ideas, your experience about choices, and what also you must have learned in your day-to-day living and in the relationship as well. You can tell us what you have learned, so we also learn from your experiences and how God helped you in the process. I mean, we'll be willing to listen and enjoy with you, and also bless God for what He did for you. Amen. So thank you. God bless you.